Hello everybody and welcome back to Juno New Origins, where we are currently heading out to TT, and this should be fairly simple in theory. We're currently in a circularized orbit, and we just need to set TT as our target here. And then we're going to need, of course, to get our inclination done. So I want to select Drew, but we're going to need to get our inclination lined up here. So in terms of CC, or rather TT, we need to just get that lined up about like that to be on approximately the correct angle. But then we're also going to need to be lined up like that, which is going to be a bit problematic for us. Okay, so at either the ascending or descending node, it doesn't really matter which, I want to bring us around this way, a fair amount. And that is going to need to be lined up to be something like this-ish. I think that's a little overshooty on the inclination. It is. Let's bring it up to be about here. So something like that is what we're going to be looking to achieve. So let's go ahead and run that burn. That will be absolutely fine. And that is going to be, how long of a burn time? 3.3 minutes. Okay. Our thrust to weight on this is apparently very, very low. Actually, it's 0.9. That's not too bad. Why is this going to be such a long burn, allegedly? It's 700 meters per second. I mean, that's, granted, that's a fair amount. But we're going to have 2 kilometers per second left here. Interesting. That is a very long burn indeed, but we're just working on matching planes approximately with TT here. So that should be reasonably fine. Yeah, that'll be pretty close to a plane match. So that looks reasonably good here, and then we're going to punch out 2 TT, we'll break there, and then we'll just need to get this lander working correctly. So the lander is, of course, designed for us and has its own amount of delta V. In theory, anyway. I assume it has its own amount of delta V. So we're about 40 seconds away from this burn finishing. It's definitely a lengthy burn. No doubt about that. But, I mean, it's a pretty hefty inclination change, so I guess that's not shocking. I mean, this is a 19-degree inclination. That's wild. Okay, so now sometime around here or so... Wait, TT is retrograde. That's right. So we're going to need to come out over this way then. Okay, so that's going to be something kind of like this, although the timing could definitely be changed a bit. 140 kilometers? That seems pretty decent, to be honest. I like that burn. So that's going to be 1.19 kilometers per second, but the same amount of burn time. That's weird. Okay, well, let's get that going. We're going to head out to TT. So this is going to be another fairly lengthy burn here to get us out there. This stage definitely feels like it's a little underpowered. 3.8 minutes of burn time according to this. And this is going to be 3 minutes, but 1.1, that is going to be the majority of the DV, I suppose. Okay. We definitely could have launched into this inclination and saved a lot of delta V here, but it's fine. We don't have to return this, and this guy is going to have its own fuel. Some amount of its own fuel, anyway. I want to put us in a reasonable orbit here, so we need to head out to TT and see what the next stage, according to the contract, is. So we're currently about 25% done with this. We should definitely be fast forwarding. So something like that. Okay, we're over a third done with this burn now. And now we're approaching half done. Excellent. Still about another 80 seconds on this burn. So, I mean, it does bear noting that our thrust to weight is currently over 2. So there's that. Still about another 400 meters per second to go here. Yeah, this burn is definitely a hefty one, but this will be fine. This would not be fine if we were going with my lander design. We would definitely need some more powerful first stages, but I feel like as it is, we'll be okay here. This will deliver us into a reasonable position. Okay, so that is not quite where we wanted it to be. That's not an encounter. So let's plan a burn here, and I want to just dial that in radially a little bit. And maybe a little bit retrograde as well. Let's turn that sensitivity way down here. Okay. I'd like to bring this in within about 20 kilometers, I think. So we lost efficiency in that direction. We're not gaining efficiency here. Okay. Sure. So there's only so much that we can do as far as tuning this goes. We know this is like negative 60. 27.6 kilometers, 27.7. Okay. So we overshot this a little bit, it looks like. That's fine. Let's tune up this sensitivity a little bit. Okay, losing efficiency there, and a little bit of... Ooh, that's so sensitive. Okay, we'll just dial this in a bit. Losing efficiency, I'm going to call this good. So we're going to go ahead and execute that burn. That's going to be a 48.7 meter per second burn, but that will dial us in a lot. So let's see what the final burn ends up looking like. 35.7. I'm going to call that good enough. So at this point, we're going to warp up over here. And let's just warp to the next event here. So we're just going to head on up and get into the sphere of influence of TT. So as soon as we hop in, we'll drop out of warp. This will be fine. There we go. And now we want to, at the periapsis here, do a braking burn. And this is going to be a fairly hefty burn here. No doubt about that. But now that we are in orbit here, this should be nice and simple. So I want to bring this down to about 10 kilometers-ish. Something like that. Okay, so we need our apoapsis to be, yeah, we've got 843 meters per second. This is lots of delta V, so we've got plenty for this. Let's just bring this on down. This is going to be 4.18 kilometers. That's not exactly what I had intended. I might cut this throttle a little early. But let's get through this initial braking burn. That is definitely going to need most of this. Okay, 50%. And 70%. Taking us out of warp now. We're now 90% through this burn. I cut this a little early because we're at 10.6 kilometers. I don't want to get this far down. So at this point, we need our periapsis to actually be greater than 24.5. Wow, okay. That is not the way I would have done that, but sure. We're going to lock velocity prograde here. Just the... Oh, we're on 3%. Okay, that explains why this is going up. So we need this to be up above 24.5. I do want to be burning right now, so this is correct. I didn't actually intend to be burning there, but sure, that seems okay. So now we would want to detach the impactor. Well, I kind of want to do a burn at the periapsis here and bring this down to 24.6. Just shedding a little bit of extra speed here. That would be too much, but about here. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. That's going to be a very, very minute burn, 3.63 meters per second. Okay, that just brings us down to minimal speed. So now the question is, when do we want to detach the impactor? I'm going to warp to here. Oh, right, we're going this way. I'm going to warp to here then. We were approximately where we wanted to be in that case. I'm going to warp to, like, here. There we go. That'll be fine. So now we need to detach the impactor. Okay, and we need to bring our periapsis down to intercept. So we want to be on lock velocity retrograde. And I want to just dial this in a little bit. How much DV do we have in this? 2 kilometers per second? Okay, that's a fair amount. Okay, we're just bringing this on down. And then it wants us to coast to approach the surface. Fair enough. But this is not exactly where I want to land. I want to be landing somewhere like here-ish. Maybe like up here. This seems reasonably fine. Okay, so we're at 16 meters per second. We're going to warp to here. It's definitely rotating under us a lot. That's understood. Okay, let's warp to here then. Okay. Stop warping, please. Thank you. So we're down to about 20 meters per second here, and our at ground level is still a bit up. So we're at 18 meters per second. That looks fine for right now. I'm just looking at where we are currently. Okay, I want to get rid of this horizontal speed, so I'm going to park us right out over here or so, and just do a very, very gentle burn, getting rid of that horizontal speed, specifically. Just pushing that together. About like that. So you can see that our lateral speed is 0.1. Let's actually bring that down a little bit, about like that. There we go. So our lateral speed is functionally gone. We're landing right in that point where I said we don't want to land. We'll see how this goes. This is a very small lander. It's got these big legs on it. It should be reasonably okay, but this is very rough terrain. We'll see how that goes. We might take back off and try landing somewhere like off over here. In fact, that may not be a bad idea. We may want to burn this way a little bit and get ourselves some additional speed out over here. So we're going to lock velocity back to retrograde now. And we're just looking to clear this field here. Okay. I actually want to burn a bit this way for right now to get ourselves some additional altitude. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to lock us to retrograde. This is a much better location to land. Okay, let's get rid of this lateral speed. That's most of it gone. I'm just continuing to burn it down a little bit here. Okay, it started to go back up. That's fine. We're just going to take this to lock velocity retrograde. And this is going to be still pretty rough here. We'll see what our actual attitude ends up looking like, but I'm not too concerned about it. This should be absolutely fine as far as the landing goes. We're still 400 meters above ground level here. I don't care about our heading. This is irrelevant. I do want to start doing a little bit of braking here. We're coming down at 14 meters per second, 13 meters per second, 12, 11, 10. Okay. This is maybe a little too much braking. But let's just bring this down to a nice, gentle speed. It's about 4 meters per second, 3 meters per second. We're still burning right now. We're about 50 meters up. This is still very rough terrain here for sure, but it's not as rough as it was. I'm dropping our throttle down to 5% right now. Excellent. We're at 1 meter per second right now. And we are touched down. Beautiful. So that looks good. We'll end that flight, and that got us 360 million. We'll recover the craft, but we can't actually recover it, so there we go. And what else do we have in our career here? So we have a Luna landing here. Launch a new craft, start grounded, be in Luna's SOI, touchdown safely, hold for 30 seconds, tech points if crewed. Okay. I'm going to accept that. And we're going to have to make some significant changes to our current setup here. So we're going to get rid of this fairing, and we're going to get rid of this lander. I'm 99% certain. Let's just put this out on the pad. This will be reverted, but let's put this out on the pad and see if this would qualify for the liftoff. Yes, it would. Okay, so there's not a part that we need there, so we have to design our own lander for this one. That is fine. We're going to undo this, put this back in the VAB. I just wanted to make sure that that was the case, and that is indeed the case. Do we have access to fuel lines at this point? I'm not sure we do. Let's hop into the tech tree. And let's see here. Where would that be? Fuel lines. Where would you be? That gives us the Pixie engine, rocket engine size, the Echo nozzle, the Phoenix solid rocket booster. Okay, that's all fine, but that's not really what we might want that, but not right now. So let's see. There's definitely, I know I saw it somewhere. What are you even trying to do? I mean, yes, I agree with that. What are you even trying to do? So that's the docking port, that's cargo, that's bigger landing legs, bigger parachutes, heat shield coating. Okay, that's all well and good. We're going to need to do some of that, but for right now, this is fine. I just am wondering where exactly fuel lines are. I'm 99% certain that there are fuel lines in this game. Max active craft. Maybe we just need to go through the interstage. That is a theoretical possibility, but I just want to check through all of these real quick here. This is all flight stuff. I don't expect it to be in here. Indeed. And that's all flight stuff down there as well. This is power down here. Okay, let's hop back in here for now, and let's take a look at these side interstages. So the current theory is that the way we're supposed to do this is through the interstage. So if we were to put this at an angle of 45 degrees, say, and then we put a fuel tank out here, right? And I mean, I wouldn't necessarily like it to be here. I'd like it to be like here. But something hypothetically like that. This is going to need a lot more power in it down here, obviously. But for right now, I want to be checking to see if this fuel transfer mode. Okay. So it would be normal or reversed or equalize. I wonder which is which. Okay, so that's going to be good to test. We're definitely going to want to do that. Now, we're going to want to put in a capsule here, for sure. And then we're going to want to have some parachutes here. So I'm going to have a main chute here. I want to have a heat shield here. So let's see here. There's a heat shield right there. We're going to put a heat shield there. And then we're going to put in a pair of drogue chutes. So that's going to be about there. We're going to have that mirrored. Select the part. Must be connected to the surface of the craft. I guess because this isn't connected here. Yeah, okay. So a pair of drogue chutes and a main chute like that should be reasonably fine. Let's just put these right about here. That should be okay. Then this I want to be mirrored in quad symmetry like that. Although I don't necessarily want it to be in that exact position. Something kind of like this will do. Okay, and then landing legs here. which would be something like that. So if those were to extend, that should be pretty okay. Yeah, that should definitely be pretty okay. This engine is not going to have a ton of power. So the question is, what does this engine have when put over Luna for thrust to weight? A starting thrust to weight of 1.66x. So that means that that's viable. Okay, I want to hop into the career here, or not the career, into the tech tree here, because I saw that there's hemispherical tanks that we had available, and I wondered where those were. Right there? Ooh, that wasn't the button I wanted to hit. Okay, noted. Back into the career, not the career, back into the tech tree we go, and we are going to grab mechanical engineers here. That gives us access to struts, which, not the worst thing. And then this would be rounded noses and hemispheres. So we're going to unlock that. That's excellent. And with that unlocked, we are able to then put in hemispheres here. Like that. And the question is, are those hemispherical fuel tanks? They are. And that's exactly what we want. Okay, so the fuel type is currently none. I want this to be Carolox. And then this is going to also be Carolox, like that. So now that these are actually fueled, these were not fueled before. Now that these are actually fueled, our starting thrust to weight here is 0.27 over Drew. Over Luna, it's 1.66. Okay, so our thrust to weight here is reasonably fine. So let's see about what we have for struts. Resizable struts that can help you bolster your crafts. Okay, I don't think these work the same way they do in KSP. We'll come back to those. We've not had joint issues so far in this game, so that seems reasonably fine. Now, as far as getting this thing into orbit goes, this isn't going to cut it. So I'm going to duplicate this guy right here, and we're going to put on side interstages. I'm going to heavy lift this because that is almost certainly going to be necessary. So we're going to put in side interstages here, and we're going to run it something like that. I'd like to... I think this is fine. I'm going to duplicate this engine, which will be expensive, and that's going to go here. We're going to grab this guy, and we're going to put this into radial symmetry. There we go. And I'd like to put in hemispherical fuel tanks up here as well. So something along the lines of that. So their fuel type should be solid. So it's currently none, but we would want this to be solid fuel. Like that. Okay. Now, I wonder if solid fuel can flow through this. It wouldn't make much sense for solid fuel to be able to flow through this, to be honest. But we'll see if that ends up happening. So then this is going to propel up quite high. This stage will be very, very weak. This is intended to put us into lunar orbit. It's not going to succeed, but I want to see how far away we are. So this is going to be the Luna lander. And we're not going to put a Drew in this. This is going to be reverted. This is not going to work, but I want to see how badly it doesn't work. So let's put this out on the alley pad. And let's see what we've got. So we're going to immediately head out eastward here, 45 degrees. Okay. Let's throttle this up, and let's lift off. So the side boosters are burning first in this current staging, and that's not exactly what I intended to have happen. It's interesting. We see the thrust to weight is going down. And yeah, this is definitely not necessarily what I intended to have happen. So that's interesting. We are definitely having a tipping issue, which isn't surprising. Okay, so now we're burning just this. And we're going downward here. So these definitely need to burn simultaneously. So let's bring that right on back and change that staging around. I still don't think this is going to get properly into orbit here, but it's definitely interesting. So I would like to fire this Ifrit at the same time. I don't know if we're going to have proper fuel flow here, so that'll be certainly interesting. This stage can be deleted, and then this gnome engine would fire here. The landing legs, they are not supposed to deploy here. The landing legs should be deploying, like, way up here. Well, after the parachutes, anyway. Or rather, before the parachutes, anyway. So let's save that, and let's see how that does as far as getting into orbit. I still don't expect this to get into orbit. That second stage is going to be a bit problematic, I think. Let's put this at 70 degrees. And let's go. So these are all firing now. And the question is, do we actually have fuel flow here? Okay, so we are pulling fuels here. Yeah, we're not flowing fuel across here, which wouldn't make sense if we were. This is solid fuel, right? So all of this is going to burn out simultaneously, and that is absolutely understood. We're trying to use this to propel us up a lot, and it is succeeding in that, to be sure. Let's bring this over to about 45 degrees right now. Okay, we're struggling to head over to 45 degrees for the moment. That's understood. 3, 2, 1, and 0. Okay, so something like this, and you can see that this thrust to weight is 0.43, which is not fantastic. So if we just put this into orbital velocity and we lock it to orbital prograde, can we even get up high enough? Like, this is not going to be powerful enough in this stage, and that was absolutely understood. But I want to see how short we are on this. The answer is very. Yeah, we are very short in this stage, and that is not surprising. This needs to be boosted up a lot. So we're going to have to rework our booster very significantly. That is absolutely understood. We are not surprised about that at all. But it is time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we're going to rework this area significantly. This might become liquid fueled. This whole thing might become liquid fueled. We'll see. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Atala, Ali Lee, Dark Horse, Xenocyte, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, The Lounge STL, Kentogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.